Hello everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My videos is for all English literature students who are preparing for NET and SET exam. Now, let's get into the story of the March family. The March family is the central family in Little Women, a novel by Louisa May Alcott. If you want to know more about Louisa May Alcott, then link the description. Before getting into the summary and characters, let me give you a few details about Little Women. So Little Women is a story written by American author Louisa May Alcott and first published in two volumes, 1868 and 1869. This novel is about the four March sisters, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy. It is based on the life of the author and her three sisters. It is autobiographical or semi-autobiographical. The two volumes were issued in 1880 as a single novel titled Little Women. Characters in Little Women. Meg Marsh, the oldest sister, who is 16 years old when the story begins. Jo Marsh, the second oldest sister, who is 15 years old when the story begins. Beth Marsh, who is the third oldest sister, 13 years old when the story begins. Amy Marsh, who is the youngest sister, 12 years old when the story begins. There are other characters here. Mrs. Marsh, who is known as Mommy. Mr. Marsh, who is the father of the four sisters. Theodore Lawrence, who is the best friend with Jo. And Marsh. And we have certain minor characters in this novel which will be discussed in the summary. Let's get into summary part. Alcott's novel opens with the four sisters, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, sitting in their living room, bemoaning their fault. The girls decided to purchase themselves a present to brighten their Christmas. They decided to buy presents for their mother, Marmee, rather than themselves. Marmee returns home the letter from Mr. Marsh, the girl's father. The letter encourages the girls to bear their difficulties joyfully and refrain from complaining about their poverty. On Christmas morning, the girls wake up to find books beneath their pillows, copies of The Pilgrim's Progress. Marmee encourages them to donate their breakfast to the Hummels, a low-income family. Meg and Jo are invited to a New Year's party at the house of Meg's friend Sally Gordon. Jo meets Laurie, the youngster who lives with Mr. Lawrence. At the party while dancing, Meg strains her ankle. Laurie escorts the sisters home. The Marchers regret having to return to their everyday routine following the Christmas festivities. Jo goes to see Laurie while he is angry and meets his grandfather, Mr. Lawrence. Jo and Laurie too become friends. Mr. Lawrence soon meets all other sisters, with Beth being his personal favorite. Mr. Lawrence learns from his late granddaughter's parents. The ladies have a variety of experiences. Amy gets discovered swapping lime at school, and her instructor slaps her as punishment. Mrs. March removes her daughter Amy from school. Jo refuses to let Amy accompany her to the theatre. Meg goes to her friend Annie Moffat's party, While at the party, she learns that some people believe she wants to marry Laurie for his. That year, the Marches established the Pickwick Club, which publishes a family newspaper. In the spring, Joe smuggles Laurie into one of the club meetings, where he becomes a member and presents a mailbox to his new servant. At the end of a relaxing week, the Marches disregard their cleaning in early June, and Mommy takes a day off. Laurie invites some English friends over, and the Marches join them for a picnic. Joe eventually gets a first piece published. One day, the family receives a telegram saying that Mr. Marsh is sick in the hospital in Washington, D.C. Mommy goes to him, and Joe sells her hair to help her mom financially for the trip. Beth goes to visit the Hummels, and after one of her visits, she contracts scarlet fever from the Hummel baby. Amy spends time at Aunt Maud's house in order to escape the disease. Beth recovers, though not completely, and Mr. Brooke, Laurie's tutor, falls in love with Meg. Mr. Brooke and Meg are engaged by the end of part 3 years pass before part 2 begins. Mr. March is home from the war, and Laurie is nearly done with school. Soon, Meg marries and moves into a new home with Mr. Brooke. One day, Amy decides to have lunch for her art school classmates, but poor weather ruins the festivity. Joe gets a novel published. Meanwhile, Meg struggles with the duties of keeping house, and she soon gives birth to twins Jamie and Daisy. Amy gets to go to Paris with Aunt instead of Joe, as Aunt prefers Amy's ladylike behavior. Joe begins to think that Beth loves Laurie, so she moves to New York so as to give chance for Beth. Then Joe meets Professor Frederick Baer, a poor German language instructor. Professor Baer discourages Joe from writing sensational stories, and she takes his advice and finds a simpler writing style. When Joe returns home, Laurie proposes to her, but she turns him down. Beth soon dies, as she was suffering from scarlet fever. Amy and Laurie reunite in France, and they fall in love. They marry and return. Joe begins to hope that Professor will come for her. He does, and they marry a year later. Amy and Laurie have a daughter named Beth, who is named after Amy's sister Beth. Joe inherits Plumfield and Smosh's house and decides to turn it into a boarding school for boys. The novel ends with the family happily gathered together. When was Little Women published? Option A, 1845, option B, 1865, and option C, 1867, option D, 1868. The answer to this question is option D, 1868. Little Women was published in 2 volumes, in 1868 and in 1869. Okay, let's move to the second question. What are the 3 sequels to Little Women? Option A, Good Boys. Option B, Little Men. Option C, Joe's Boys. and option D, all of them. The correct answer is option D, all of them. Good Boys, published in 1869, is the first sequel to Little Women. Little Men, published in 1871, is the second sequel to Little Women. Joe's Boys, published in 1886, is the third, the final sequel to Little Women. Which work has been published as A. M. Barnett? Louisa May Alcott used the pen name A. M. Barnett to write thrillers gothic stories. Now you have to find the work that has been published as A. M. Barnett. Option A, Little Women. Option B, An Old-Fashioned Girl. Option C, Under the Lilacs. And option D, The Abbot's List. The answer to this question is option D, The Abbot's List. For more videos like this, stay connected with Nada's Touch. Thank you for listening.